have never experienced this much pressure on all sides, all around me in all areas. Everything that could be shaken has been shaken. Hello everyone, Pamela I, Emmanuel here. Welcome back to my channel. It's been a while. It's great to be back. I know that it's been a while since I've actually shown up. You heard my voice. I hope you have enjoyed the prayers and the declarations. But today I wanted to do a face-to-face video. So welcome back to my channel. How is everyone doing? We're literally in the 7th month of quarantine. Can you believe we're still in lockdown? I don't, but we are. And so how are you guys doing? How's everything on your end? Let me know in the comment section below. Just let me know how you're doing. I would love to hear from you. So today's video is quite maybe different than what you used to see. So many different facets of who I am, and I do want to bring all of that to this channel. I am more than a businesswoman. I'm more than a woman of faith who loves to pray. I'm more than fashion, and there's so many different facets of who I am. So I'm still trying to figure out how to showcase that here on this channel. So thank you so much for going on this journey with me. So I'm actually going to do a video today because I know that sometimes pictures and posting, first of all, my captions are extremely long. So I said, you know what, I'm gonna stop doing long captions and I'm gonna start actually bringing myself in front of a camera and talking. And so I know that sometimes words can be misconstrued and not understood via text. And so I know that, you know, a face-to-face virtual video is, you're able to read, feel my vibes and know where I'm coming from, and you're able to understand me better. It was going to be about the current climate that we are experiencing right now. I do want to incorporate on this channel conversations that are thought-provoking, that kind of push the needle, talk about things that may be a little bit uncomfortable. And so let's go ahead and jump right into today's video. I am going to be talking about something that we all feel it. It's in the atmosphere. Justice that we are seeing in today's climate globally. And I'm so proud of all of the young people, this younger generation that are speaking up and protesting and letting their voice be heard. You know, God has given us all a voice, and I'm so proud of this generation that we're in, where we are speaking up and sharing what it is we believe is right. And so I could not be more excited, and I want to encourage you, if you have something that you're passionate about, that you know God has called you to do, go ahead and do it. I know it may be difficult to go against the grain and to stand up for something that you believe in, but I'm super proud of you, and I admire your courage. Although I am very proud of the generation and some of the people that are standing for what they believe in, there's also a side that a little bit discourages me. And it's coming more from the older generation, and not in an overt way, but more so in a way of not understanding, not listening to understand, and more like listening to respond. And it got so overwhelming to me in the last week or so. And I remember I was just sobbing before the Father. Many know that my lifestyle is a lifestyle of faith. I am a Christian, so I do talk about my faith quite a lot on this channel. It's part of who I am. So during one of my intimate moments last week with the Father, I kind of just, went before him and was kind of sobbing and sharing what was on my heart, as I, do often. And one of the things I kept telling ABBA was that they just don't understand. They just don't understand. I kept saying it over and over again. They just don't understand. They don't understand. And I remember just leaving it at that. And then I kind of felt an impression. I didn't hear, I kind of felt in my impression, you need to extend grace. And I also felt a prompting that I need to also help them to understand, help the older generation, help those that don't understand, whether that's old or new or whatever, male, female, Republican, Democrat, ever, doesn't understand. Try to be the voice of peace to kind of help the older generation particularly understand what's going on. You probably think that the younger generation has lost their mind. Like, what are they doing? They're challenging us and our traditions, and they're throwing temper tantrums. They are very angry and bitter, and they're just being disruptive. And that's actually not what it is. I want to help you understand where we're coming from. And before I begin, with the utmost respect and honor, I do understand the kingdom's principle of honor, and it's something that I do practice in my daily life. And as much as I can, by the grace of God, I'm not perfect, but by the grace of God, I do like to always extend honor. Anytime that, even if I don't agree, I would rather keep my mouth shut in honor to speak out and dishonor somebody. So that's my life mottos. And so know that I'm coming from a place of respect and honor, nothing ever to tear down or to disrespect or dishonor anyone. We are literally in a very unique time right now. We are in a time that we've never seen before. It's a very sensitive time. One can easily miss it and think that, oh, there's just COVID going on. There's just, racial tension and political uproar going on. But actually, we are literally in a different time and season. It literally feels like we are on a birthing ward. When women are on the birthing ward and they're about to give birth, there's a lot of scuffling around. The doctors and nurses are trying to situate everything. The mothers are crying, wailing because the birthing pains are very painful. Children are being born, and children crying on this end, and there's just a lot of scuffling and going on in it. And that's what it kind of feels like right now. There's a lot of scuffling. There's a lot of noise. There's a lot of disruptions. There's just a lot going on. You would even say that it's kind of crazy. It's a crazy time right now. That's my favorite scripture, Romans 8:19-23. For the creation waits in eager expectation for the children of God to be revealed. For the creation was subject to frustration, not by its own choice, but by the will of the one who subjected it, in hope that the creation itself will be liberated from its bondage to decay and brought into the freedom and glory of the children of God. We know that the whole creation has been groaning as in the pains of childbirth right up to the present time. Not only so, but we ourselves who have the first fruits of the Spirit groan inwardly as we await eagerly for our adoption to the sonship, the redemption of our body. Social injustices. You look at police brutality in the USA and Nigeria. You look at Breonna Taylor's situation that recently happened. And honestly, that situation is just a reflection of how women are actually valued. I'm going to do another video on that in the future, God willing, but I won't go in that today. But that was definitely a representation of women, the value of women. And you also look at the political uproar and the racial tension and the natural disasters and everything that's going on. It's just really, really a time of just craziness, exciting times, very, very exciting times. And why do I say exciting times? Because, according to what I read, that the earth is literally groaning for the manifestations of the sons and daughters of God, sons of God. And I honestly believe the greatest deliverers that the world has ever seen are being birthed out during this season. And how do I know this? Because there's such an uproar of what's going on. It only makes sense. These deliverers are assigned to disrupt ideologies, systems, structures, traditions, and limiting beliefs that have been passed down from generation to generation. Many of the disruptors are actually going through probably the most uncomfortable season of their life. Me personally, I have never experienced this much pressure on all sides, all around me in all areas. Everything that could be shaken has been shaken. I'm literally trying to figure out, is this warfare or is this the hand of God or is it both? And it's just a time where I've had to trust my Heavenly Father and kind of lean in, doing less talking, less just trying to figure things out and more of trusting. Being birthed out in this season that actually had no idea what they signed up for. And of course, I believe that if they knew the magnitude of what they were going to do, they probably would have backed out. If you are a deliverer and you don't know and you're experiencing some kind of, pressure during this whole season, you can kind of tell if you're a deliverer, if you are often misunderstood, labeled, criticized, rejected. You just go through things and you're just like, wait, what? Like, how did that happen? How did this get misconstrued? Most of the time, that's an indication that you could be someone that God is raising up to be a disruptor, a catalyst of change. I see a lot of the young people, that are standing up in this season, that are, standing up for what they believe in, and they're standing up for change. And I'm so proud again, but it's discouraging because, some of the older generation are not really understanding what is going on. And anyone that knows me knows that I personally have always been drawn to the older generation. I've always been drawn to the wisdom from the former generation. I'm always talking about destiny. I'm always talking about the future and talking about purpose. And I'm really not talking about what my age mates are talking about or going. I'm not doing what they're doing. I just really want to do what my father impressed on my heart. First thing I want you to understand is that we actually want the same thing. We actually are saying the same thing, maybe differently. We all want a better quality life for ourselves and our children. We want fair education, and we want great governance, and we want freedom and better quality life in general. There's different aspects, but in general, we all want the same thing. We are saying the same thing, but we're saying it differently. That's the number one thing I would want us to all agree upon. Change. We want change for the better. We may not have articulation of speech quite like the older generation, because of course, with time that will come. The more we speak, the more we use our voice, the more we'll become acclimated to it. With you, we might not have the right words. We might not express it correctly. We might not have the right diction. It can be really disheartening when you're misunderstood or labeled to be something that you're not. And everyone is definitely absolutely entitled to their own opinion. However, it kind of stings a little bit when you're misunderstood or mislabeled by people that you look up to. Many of the older generation have been crying and praying for change and reform and better days. And many have, spent their life, made it their life's work, working on mindsets and working on building leaders and building change agents. And change that's happening is being misunderstood. Unfortunately, what's happening is that it's kind of hindering or trying to hinder, the very thing that you're praying for, the deliverers that God is raising up. I'm reminded of a time when I first was accepted into fashion school, and I told my father that I wanted to go and have a career in fashion. I was super excited, and unfortunately he wasn't as excited as I was. He is an African and Nigerian man, and to him, he was like, no, my daughter needs to go to school. And I was like, Father, London College of Fashion is a school. It's a very prestigious fashion school. And he wasn't having it. He didn't want me to go to fashion school. He wanted me to go and pursue law, business. I knew that I had some kind of path in fashion. I knew that it was a gift that I had, and I knew that that gift would bring me before great men and women if I had just stuck to it, honed it. And he was definitely not for it. He definitely was against it, tried to convince me several times. It caused a lot of tension in the family when I decided to go the route of fashion. I remember one day when he actually saw me, I think I was working on a business plan or I was sketching or something, and he actually saw the potential. He saw that I was producing and I was, doing well. And I remember he came and he sat down on the dinner table where I was sketching, and he asked me a couple questions, and he was really listening to my passion. And he could see that there was something there. And one thing I will never forget is that he kind of got excited in that moment, and he started to give me ideas. He started to give me strategies and give me ideas of products to create, many of which I'm actually working on now to create. And I will never forget that day that he took the time to actually have a conversation with me and understand my heart and my passion. And he actually discovered that I was actually talented in this area. And so instead of resisting it, he actually decided to work with me and help me and, brought his wisdom and gave me his counsel. And I say that to say that, he didn't understand at first. He didn't see the vision. He didn't see the big picture. He couldn't understand. As far as he was concerned, he wanted me to go to law school, and he wanted me to do what he wanted me to do. And he had it in his mind how it should have been done. And I totally understand that. It wasn't out of a vindictive way. It's just that it had never been done before. No one in my family was in the fashion industry. No one was pursuing fashion. It had never been done before. I was literally the first person. So out of love and fear, he did not want me to go that route. He wanted something that was more lucrative. Law is considered more lucrative. And so that brings me to today. And I understand that what you're seeing now, the younger generation using their voice, telling them what they've been through and trying to pull down and tear down those limiting beliefs. I understand you don't get it. It sounds foreign to you, but I just want to ask you to trust that all of that you've taught us and all that you've imparted into us and all of the teaching and everything, the time that you've invested in us is not in vain. We've seen you pioneer amazing movements and build some pretty amazing things. However, we're not in that time anymore. And so we have to do it our way. And as much as we would love to definitely do it your way, it wouldn't fit for this time. It's a different time, and so it takes a little bit of a different strategy to build great movements and build great things. At first, he shunned what I was doing, but it was not until he stepped back and looked and saw, okay, this thing has potential. She just needs a little bit of guidance. She just needs a little bit of instruction. And so when he was able to do that and sit with me and kind of understand my heart and listen to what I had to say, and took some time and was intently listening to understand, he was then able to impart his wisdom that I definitely obviously needed, and he gave me strategy. And it was at that point, that meeting place, working together, that we were able to come up with a plan of what I was going to do with this, and how I was going to, not just going to have a fashion degree and not just be a fashion designer, but turn it into a fashion business and an empire and have different products and services and different things like that. A lot of what I'm doing today was because my father sat down with me, took the time and sat down with me to listen to me, and then gave me instruction and wisdom. Many of us have been called for such a time as this. As uncomfortable as it is, we've finally accepted that we are the deliverers. And it's hard enough to be bold enough to use our voice and use our gifts and our talents and use all of the things that we have and our resources to pioneer the things that we believe that's on our heart. God forbid that deliverance will rise up from another place. We know that we were made for such a time as this, and it's our time to use our voice and all of the things that we have and the access that we have and the platforms that we have and all the technology that we have. This is our time to use those things and to use it in a way that reaches the generation. And so that means sharing vulnerability, sharing things that have happened to us where we have gone through tough times, sharing personal stories and sharing things, not because we're bitter, not because we're angry, not because we want to be vindictive, but because we know that our stories can relate. I remember my mentor, Fela Dorotoye, was telling me when he first got married to his wife that he had an auntie. We all have the auntie. Everyone has one. And maybe that's a real auntie, or maybe it's just a figurative person out of respect, you call them auntie. He was telling me about how his auntie was instructing him that, now that you're married, if you want your wife to continue to have respect for you, don't let her be so successful. And, because you want to be the head of the household. And I admired so much is that he said no. Instead, what he did was he made sure to invest and pour into his wife the more and made sure that she was the best, because to him, his wife being successful was showing that he was a success. And I admire that so much, because I know that many people have listened to, limiting beliefs, whether it's from an auntie, a friend, or whatnot. Sometimes you have to go against the grain. Sometimes you have to have a conviction in what that you believe, so much so that you go against the grain and you do what it is that you believe God is leading your life to do. A lot of what's happening now is also uncomfortable because, some of us may never climb on a pulpit. Some of us might be called to, governance or the red carpet or TV or film or media. And it may not look like something that is done before, but just know that we're being sent out, some against our will. Some of us are by obedience and trust, we're being sent out, and we're being sent out into the systems of the world. We're being sent out to tear down and uproot the traditions and the ideologies and limitations that are placed on women and children and placed on countries and nations. And it might not look like what has been done before, but just know that it's a God thing. It's a God send. It's a God purpose. And it might sound disruptive and it might cut when we speak or when we text, but just know that it's coming from a a God place, and it's almost like a mandated that wakes us up every single day, and we won't have peace unless we actually get it out and we share, and we're vulnerable, and we share that, hey, you know, I also made a mistake because I listened to an auntie and I didn't go and pursue what I believe God wanted me to do because I felt like the pressure of my culture, the pressure of my family to go another route when God was clearly telling me to go, you know, another route. I might share those things, or, you know, like my mentor did, shared his story. Those stories make it personal. Those stories are able to help us to understand how much we really are the same, and that how much we really do want the same thing. I just want to encourage, you know, the older generation, or anyone that's different than who I am. It's not just the older generation, it's anyone that's different, to understand that we all want the same thing, and we might say it differently, we might display it differently, but ultimately we all want the same thing. I think that we're stronger together, and I think that we're more effective once we can understand one another. That's really what I wanted to share today. I just want us to all just come together and know that we're working together. Before I shaped you in the womb, I knew all about you. Before you saw the light of day, I had holy plans for you. A prophet to the nations. That's what I have in mind for you.